We're reading Embry, and today we're going to be talking about the exterior of our 1906 farmhouse.
One of the first things that sold us right off the bat was the curb appeal. It had that old world historic charm that we've always wanted and loved and didn't think we would ever be able to afford. As you can see from the video that we're showing, the exterior has a ton of work.
Massive checklist.
$20,000 about worth of work to the exterior of the house and interior just to get it to approve for the loan that we needed to get into the house. So that was really scary. It was really daunting as our first.
A big risk and probably a little stupid, but it worked. So
yeah, trying to decide whether I would ever advise anyone to do what we did, and the answer is probably no, because we knew we were going to have to spend the $20,000 up front, but we didn't know that we were ever going to get the loan. So that was a huge risk on our part that we don't advise anyone else to do.
So the pictures online, the house was a butter yellow with white trim, maroon shutters and doors. It looks about as great as it sounds. Yeah. We had always thought of having a black Victorian house, so we were pleasantly surprised when we showed up, and to give it better curb appeal, it had been painted a dark gray, so our primer coat was pretty much done for us. So one of the first things on our checklist was to replace the supports for the front porch. The columns were all rotted out, carpenter ants, lots of water damage. So we took those down and replaced them with 6x6 cedar posts, and it completely changed the look of the front of the house. So modernized it a little bit, made it a little bit more farmhouse, but kept the Victorian feel.
This process was really scary. Again, in all the videos that we show you of us working on these things, if you don't feel 100% comfortable doing them, don't do them by yourself, because I've been in construction for several years, and I know a little bit about how to do a lot of different things. So that's just a warning up front. If you don't feel comfortable doing something, absolutely hire someone to do it if you can, because a lot of these things are dangerous and can hurt you really bad. The wall. By far the most ridiculous thing that was on this list from the inspector was that we had to take down and completely rebuild the retaining wall.
Yes, it was the retaining wall out by the sidewalk, which had nothing to do with the structure of the house, but for some reason he decided to put it on the list. So we were required to repair it before we could get approved for the loan.
And we didn't have any extra money for like new pavers or anything like that. So you will see us disassembling the wall brick by brick. We had to hand scrape all of the stuff off of every brick that was already there. All the mortar had to be removed, and then every brick had to be replaced one at a time, which took about 2.5 to 3 weeks. It was a huge hit to the project.
Which caused delays, which caused us not to be able to get the house until our previous lease ran out, so we had to move into the house as is instead of being able to get work done ahead of time. Great.
Yeah. So on top of having to redo everything, all of our stuff was everywhere. But as you can see from the photos, we did get it rebuilt and everything was fine. As much as we love trees and like to advocate for keeping them, this particular one in the front that you see here was dangerous, and it had been rotting up at the top, and huge pieces of it were just ready to fall down. So we decided to take it all the way down, and the branches and huge parts of it were growing into the power lines. Like no one had touched this tree in a very long time.
Well, the top of it was missing as well, and the roots were also growing into the stairs and the retaining wall out front because it was in the corner, not centered in the yard where it should have been.
So in the end, we decided it had to come down. Another really difficult thing was the back staircase. Somebody had apparently pressure washed it from what we heard from our neighbors, and then they immediately painted it before the wood dried. So it was just rotting, and all of the paint was falling off.
Yeah,
and
just
so,
wash back off of it.
Yeah, and strings of it were hanging down. It was really nasty, and we were required to basically hand scrape the whole thing off down to the stud. And from there, we were able to paint it along with the rest of the house.
So we moved in late in the year. As you can see, one of the things we decided to do was go ahead and paint the exterior, even though we knew at some point we would end up changing the siding and having to do repairs. We just felt like it would give one of the biggest changes and impacts to the overall process, and would give the neighborhood something to get excited about, as well as ourselves, because we knew we would be basically hunkered down in a couple of rooms for a couple of years most likely, and seeing very little progress as we did structural changes and wiring and plumbing. It gave us something tangible that we could latch onto and keep us motivated.
If there are any sections that you wanted to delve into a little bit deeper, we can go into, more depth about the design work and things like that. But this first video, we had to film while we were doing everything. And so it was really rushed, and we weren't able to take the time that we would normally like to take. So if you have any comments, concerns, questions, please leave them in the comments below, and we will see if we can adapt our channel to that.
Bye.